Good morning, everybody. Hope all is well on this Tuesday, and coming to you for another Reflect and Revive devotional. And as I have done these last several times that I've shared with you, I like to go back and revisit a few things, a few thoughts about Sunday's message. On Sunday, I talk about the power of weakness, and of course, in 2 Corinthians chapter 12. Verse 9 specifically, where Paul expresses what the Father had spoken into his heart about his grace being sufficient for him and how he can have power that is perfected in his weakness, and how he stopped complaining about his weakness or praying about God to take away his weakness, but how he accepted the fact that the weakness pointed him back to Calvary, pointed him back to Christ. And I think that's something we all need to be reminded of, that in ourselves we can't overcome the obstacles in life, the difficulties that we face on a day-to-day basis. Some days are better than others. Some days you feel strong, but that can sometimes create a false sense of security. We all need God's grace. We all need God's strength and God's help. And that's what Paul was talking about. I wanted to go a little bit deeper into it just a bit and reflect upon some actions we can take when dealing with our weakness. The thing that comes to my mind is what the Apostle James talked about resisting the devil and drawing near to God. Those moments, there's pivotal times in our lives where we're faced with a challenge, whether it's a personal weakness or a personal temptation, a challenge that creates a moment of indecision. And it's in those moments, it's very key for you to take the appropriate steps in order to be successful. And of course, that's a couple steps, that very basic, fundamental steps that we can take. First, we need to, draw near to God. In those moments when we don't know what to do, draw near to God. In those moments when temptation is coming against us, draw near to God. In those moments when our weakness seems to be getting the better of us, draw near to God. Secondly, resist the devil. And I think each one of us can look at ourselves and know what types of emotions, what kinds of feelings, what kind of actions that we take that are allowing the devil to have sort of a place in our lives, whether it's letting anger turn into rage, or whether it's letting your anxiety turn into real fear, or whether it's your desire turning into an action that leads you away from God, sinful actions. Those moments are pivotal for you to draw near to God, resist the devil, and then God makes it very clear what his next step is. That is, he's going to draw near to you. And that's where your strength comes from. That's where your ability to overcome the obstacle. That's where your ability to resist and continue on your pattern of growth and closeness with God. And remember, in the scripture I shared on Sunday, I believe it is from Peter's epistle, he said that the enemy, the devil, he goes about like a roaring lion. A lot of times, if you've watched, and I've shared this before, but if you've ever watched stories about how lions hunt, a lot of times their roar is to create confusion and indecision in the herd. And the point of that is to separate the weak from the strong, the calf from its mother, the older, more, the older particular animal that's not able to run as fast or be able to get away as quickly without the herd. And so he wants to separate you from those things that would help you. He wants to separate you from God. He wants to separate you from people of faith. And a lot of times when we're dealing with a weakness or we're dealing with a struggle, the first thing we want to do is just to isolate ourselves, get alone. And that's when we need God. That's when we need people of faith to be around about us. And so he wants to separate you so he can isolate you, so he can attack you and overwhelm you. So drawing near to God, allowing God to be there to help you. Also allowing God's people to be around you. I know in this time, this pandemic, one of the greatest struggles I think many of us have faced is isolation. And isolation can be a dangerous thing. Now, if you're spending time with God and allowing God to strengthen you, but you still need, I believe, human contact in some capacity. And I hope some of you out there are finding that through different means, whether it be through, social media, or whether it be through phone calls, or those that are encouraging to you. You're allowing them to come around about you. And the final piece to it is allowing God to work through you or in you in a way that even He can begin to intercede. One of the scriptures I was drawn to, that I've been drawn to a lot lately, is Romans 8:26. Likewise, the Spirit helps us in our weakness, but we do not know what to pray as we ought to, but the Spirit Himself will intercede for us through words that we can't even express. So even when you don't know what to say, if you allow God to come in and just minister to you, He'll begin to intercede for you. And God is praying for you. The Lord wants what's best for you. So whatever the struggle is today, whatever the weakness is you're dealing with, get closer to the Lord. Resist the temptation to isolate yourself. Resist the roars of the enemy that tells you to run and frighten fear and disillusionment. No, draw near to God, resist the devil, and God will draw near to you. And even in those moments when you don't know what to say, God knows what you're saying. Through your tears, God knows what you're saying. Through those moments where you don't even have the words to express, God knows what you're saying. And I'm thankful for that. I just wish we would all tap into those places that truly can give us the greatest victories of our lives. And I hope and pray that you're doing that. If not, make an effort today. Let God minister to you in a special way. Father, I thank you so much for the fact that, God, even when we're weak, God, if we'll turn to you, you will make us strong. And I just pray you'll touch each one that's watching this devotion. Maybe it can encourage them. Maybe it can encourage some of their friends. Maybe some are dealing with many, many issues. But God, you're able to help us in wherever we find ourselves. I appreciate, God, your love and your care for us. Touch us all. Guide us and direct us in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you have a great day. God bless.